The dreaded moment arrived. Another digital venture, my fledgling consulting business, was destined to join the roster of my failed enterprises. My entrepreneurial journey had always been a rocky one, from humble beginnings trading Pokemon cards in middle school to the labyrinth of online startups. Each venture, such as my stagnating digital marketing agency, seemed to hit a brick wall. Despite the heartache and frustration, the question remained: why wasn't I breaking through? The lessons from these trials were valuable, and I shared them candidly in my first book, Cold Email Manifesto. However, the secret recipe for sustainable business success remained elusive. I felt like an explorer in a state of perpetual fog where each step towards success led to another startup cul-de-sac. That is, until I discovered the guiding beacon I'd been seeking, the RAGE framework. Hey there, it's Berman. On this channel, we talk about entrepreneurship, the digital nomad lifestyle, and personal growth. If that sounds like what you're interested in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let's start learning together. The RAGE framework was more than a revelation. It was a tectonic shift in my business approach. It was the missing jigsaw piece that propelled my next ventures into uncharted territories of success, including a swift $2 million SaaS exit within just 3 months. This framework, a combination of hard-won lessons and insights, was so powerful that it even led to 5 successful SaaS exits. Here are the results of following the RAGE framework. You can see the MRR change over 7 days. This is the result of step G, RAGE of RAGE. Are you ready to chart the course to business transformation? Welcome to the age of RAGE. This video, by the way, is part of the Digital Nomad series aimed to promote my new book, Digital Nomad Manifesto. If this resonates with you, I highly recommend checking out the full playlist and also getting the book on Amazon by going to digitalnomadmanifesto.com. It starts at only 99 cents. Stay tuned as we explore more concepts related to health, wealth, and love. The core of the RAGE method, an acronym standing for research, acquire, grow, and exit, rests on the understanding of how to acquire a company. It's a process that begins with identifying an underperforming SaaS business, a task I stumbled upon in the most unorthodox way during a no-phone day. Here's how it unfolded. Freed from the distraction of digital devices, I found myself reflecting on the future of my venture. It was in that serene state that an epiphany struck me. Software as a service was my untapped goldmine. Intrigued by the potential that SaaS held, I began diving into extensive research, piecing together the allure of this business model. What became evident was the inherent structure and systemization of SaaS businesses was a game changer. Take, for example, my lead generation X27. When a client signs up, we're responsible for creating their campaigns, acquiring leads, and setting up functioning systems, laborious and time-consuming tasks. But when you compare this with a SaaS company like Omni, the difference is striking. Upon signing up, clients run their campaigns, download their leads, and systems kick in automatically. The contrast and its implications were glaring. It underscored a truth I'd come to realize about my own experience running agencies. Delivering for clients is hard, and if you can't deliver, you fail. So why not start a software company where delivery happens automatically? Running an agency wasn't easy. There were plenty of times when things fell apart, yet if I could sidestep this Achilles heel through the SaaS model, it would be a breakthrough. It was this revelation that drew me towards SaaS companies, and it marked the beginning of my journey in the world of SaaS acquisition. When you immerse yourself in the SaaS world, you take the reins of the system, addressing bugs as they surface. This heightened control over the process enables you to ensure that your tool delivers value consistently for all customers. On the contrary, working with agencies can be significantly more unpredictable. I discovered the SaaS company that led to my 7-figure exit through Twitter, which I believe could serve you equally well. Its strength lies in being a platform where people share their success stories, albeit what I would term first steps towards success. Often, these are indie coders or makers who might be generating $1,000 monthly with their SaaS startup and sharing this achievement on Twitter. While generating this revenue requires considerable effort, what you see isn't always a successful company, but instead an underperforming one. When I got involved with Taplio, it was making something in that ballpark, around $1,500 a month. But as I mentioned in previous videos, it's so much easier to go from that sort of figure to $15,000 a month than to make that initial journey from 0 to 1,500. So let's talk about discovering companies on Twitter. Twitter is a goldmine for spotting SaaS companies. To sift through the noise, use hashtags and keywords that people celebrating their successes might use. $1,000 and MRR, which stands for monthly recurring revenue, are often boasted about, making them effective search terms. You might also try build in public, a popular hashtag among the indie maker community. A quick search with these terms could yield a long list of potential acquisition targets. Now you've got a list, but how can you tell which companies are underperforming? They might seem successful on the surface, but that doesn't always mean they've hit their full potential. One key metric is the growth period, the time it took for them to reach that $1,000 per month. Let's say you spot a company that's been grinding for the last 5 months to reach that target. As a growth marketer, this should pique your interest as it indicates a potential to accelerate their revenue. You'll often find that these underperformers aren't making substantial efforts with marketing. For instance, Their Twitter profile might not directly link to their website, or their website lacks customer testimonials, or has significant presentation issues. Maybe the offer's messed up. These red flags indicate that the company is not living up to its full potential. In a nutshell, if you can look at a company and see why it's not $10,000 per month yet, you might have a perfect acquisition target on your hands. You could potentially acquire equity valued at $1,000, and with your expertise, grow the product's worth to $10,000. Remember, your goal is to spot a diamond in the rough, not a polished gem. After pinpointing an underperforming company, your next step is to gauge its market fit and potential for growth. Sounds a bit tricky. Well, let me break it down with a story. Once upon a time, I partnered with a company that developed a Twitter A/B testing tool. This nifty little gadget lets you tweak your username, display names, headlines, and more to attract signups. It seemed like a solid project, but they were only making $1,000 per month. Why? They were selling their product for just $9. Seeing the huge customer base that they'd gathered, I thought we hit the jackpot. It seemed like all we had to do was jack up the price. So I reached out with an offer to buy them for $2,000 outright. Instead of backing down, my brother and I decided to build our own version of the tool purely as a market test. We tried selling our version at $49, but to our surprise, we got zero interest at that price point. Twerp.ai was the name, by the way. Here it is, our failed venture. The lesson is just because a product seems like a surefire winner, it doesn't mean it is. It turns out that the Twitter A/B testing tool catered to a pretty narrow audience, only folks with large Twitter accounts who already had a ton of traffic. The growth potential was limited. We realized the product was never going to be a hit. Thankfully, we found this out over a coding weekend and could move on swiftly. It was a stark reminder that ensuring the right market fit is vital before jumping into any SaaS company partnership. Before you dive headfirst into any business venture, it's crucial to gauge the market's readiness for your product. I like to use the BANT methodology for this. Sounds like industry jargon, right? Well, let me spell it out for you. Budget, authority, need, and timing. We can break it down step by step. Budget is, can your potential customers afford your service? Authority. Are you dealing with decision makers who can say yes to your product? Need. Is there a strong demand for what you're offering? And timing. Is there a sense of urgency for your solution, or can they afford to dilly-dally? Taking the Twitter A/B testing tool I talked about earlier as an example, it was clear there wasn't a strong need for what I offered. Running it through the BANT test helped us realize it wasn't the best fit. Using this framework, you'll quickly figure out if a potential venture is cash or trash. Now imagine you've got a potential acquisition in your crosshairs. The first question to ask yourself is, what steps would I take in the first month post-acquisition to hit that 10K revenue target? Here's the kicker. The answer should be as clear as day. You should have a rock-solid plan to kickstart success. And if you see that path, then my friend, it's time to make a move. Here's a little nugget from my own experience. When my co-founder and I were in talks with a potential acquisition, let's call them TweetCo for fun, we didn't just wing it. We prepared a comprehensive marketing plan, podcast, cold emails, PR stunts, you name it. This plan wasn't just for us. We shared it with TweetCo so they could see exactly how we'd plug their business into our success roadmap. This clear vision gave us the confidence to step up our game. So my advice, have a solid action plan ready before you set your sights on a target. It'll make the whole process clearer, and trust me, you'll feel pumped about the journey ahead. It's time to talk numbers, and I mean the crucial ones: financial health and growth prospects. The big question to ask is, can this product churn out a profit? Let's take some real-world examples. Right now, there's a truckload of AI tools on the market, which are dirt cheap to get your hands on. You've probably heard of tools like GPT or the Twitter API that give you access to data or help you shortcut the development process. You might think these AI-powered or no-code SaaS tools are a steal, but could you handle a big change in access? Let me put it this way. I wouldn't touch a product relying heavily on the Twitter API or even the API of some AI tools right now, because they can raise the prices or turn you off at any time. It doesn't make financial or business sense to me. Also, lifetime deals can be tough to sustain with the overhead costs involved. Now, let's talk about a different kind of situation. Take a product like Omni, for example. The most significant cost here is the bill from Amazon Web Services, but it's peanuts compared to the overall operation. As I write this, Omni's pulling in a cool $20K a month, and the cost to get there is around $4K a month. That means we have an extra $16K to spend on growth or take a profit. Pictured, you can see Omni's growth using the hype train strategy, which will be discussed in a later video. Here is the golden rule when you're sizing up companies and planning to scale them. Aim to keep expenses around 20% of your revenue. If you're pocketing 80% of the revenue as profit, you're sitting on a gold mine. Remember, numbers don't lie, so always keep your eyes on the bottom line. Now, let's talk about synergies. Synergies, a fancy word to say, does this new acquisition fit well with what you've already got going on? Let's decode this corporate jargon. In simple terms, it's all about whether you've got an audience or a platform where this product could thrive. In my case, Taplio was a perfect fit. Why? Because I had this course, LinkedIn X, and was a familiar face in the YouTube space with a solid reputation on LinkedIn. So plugging in a LinkedIn tool was like adding fuel to a blazing fire. it hit the ground running immediately. Let's not forget Omni, which was a similar story. With a best-selling book, Cold Email Manifesto, under my belt, and a bustling YouTube channel with over 100,000 subs, I'd become quite the talk in the cold email space. Any tool associated with my name was bound to make waves. Here you can see me sleeping with my play button. This was a good night. This should ring true for you too when you're considering acquisitions. How can your personal assets help fuel the current business? How can you use what you've built in the past to help drive success in the future? This will give you an unfair edge. You also want to make sure that the founder is all in on the product. It's crazy how many indie makers out there treat their work more like a hobby than a full-fledged commitment. If you're teaming up with someone who's not all in, be ready to do most of the heavy lifting. Ideally, you want to find somebody who's ready to get their hands dirty with you, but if you're prepared to go solo, more power to you. Next on the list, let's talk about competition and those tricky barriers to entry. Just how tough is the neighborhood you're moving into? First things first, let's bust a myth here. Your startup doesn't need to be a unicorn. One of a kind. Actually, it's quite the opposite. Surprised? Let me break it down for you. If an idea is worth its salt, chances are somebody's already been there and done that. And we're not here to reinvent the wheel. Our game is to take an existing wheel and pimp it out. Make it run smoother, faster, better, more valuable. So when you're surveying the landscape for your startup, don't be put off by a bit of competition. In fact, this can actually be a positive signal. If there are other businesses in the space making a good run, it means there's money to be made. It means there's demand for what you're offering. That was the case when we started with Taplio. The social media content space was filled with big players, Buffer being one of them. But instead of making us hesitate, it confirmed that there was a sizable market up for grabs. Now here's the million-dollar question, maybe literally. How do you break into this market? How do you make your mark among established players? Well, you need to carve your own niche, your own unique selling proposition. What makes your product or service stand out? It might be a unique feature, or it could be your brand's voice and personality, or maybe it's your unbeatable customer service. Taplio's USP was an AI-powered content engine which enables users to write a month of LinkedIn content in just 10 minutes. And a word of advice, don't be discouraged if there are some big name companies dominating your chosen field. A bigger market means there's more room for different solutions and different customer segments. And hey, who knows? Maybe that big shot company might just like what you're doing and snap up your startup, making you the next millionaire or billionaire on the block. So don't be afraid of a little competition, embrace it. Have you ever wondered how you can find your billion-dollar idea? Well, let's take a stroll through Wall Street and peek at those high rises. Yes, I'm talking about public companies like Tableau, Salesforce, HubSpot, Slack, Zoom, you name it. These guys are the masters of their domains, each one ruling over $1 billion industry. But how do you fit into this? Well, imagine you're throwing a dart. Your dartboard is the industry where these giants reside. Your bullseye, the specific people you want to serve within that industry. Take Taplio, for instance. We aimed for LinkedIn influencers and companies vying for the LinkedIn limelight. Now, how did we know about this? Well, my own journey as a LinkedIn influencer, content creator, and company owner gave me that insider scoop. But if you don't have that inside scoop, well, enter AI tools, our secret sauce. They're like your personal assistant, helping you understand your audience's struggles better. Let's say you don't know the struggles of a sales director from a company making over $5 million annually. That's okay. If you feed this prompt into ChatGPT, write a personal Reddit post from a sales director from a company making over $5 million annually, discussing all of his biggest issues and mental barriers and fears, keep it under 500 characters. Then it'll spit out something like this. Struggling with the pressure of driving $5 million plus annually. The fear of losing key clients keeps me up at night. There's constant anxiety about meeting quotas, dealing with team burnout, and innovating in a saturated market. My mental health often takes a back seat. Is this the cost of success? Then you can use this as market research and watch it help you connect with people, all without breaking your bank on competitive analysis and surveys. You now know exactly what your target market is dealing with, including the words you use. And that was limited to 250 characters, but you could make it write paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. You never have to talk to a real customer again. All this research can happen right inside the AI. From there, it's all about sizing up the prize. When we started with Taplio, we saw Buffer's $15 million annual revenue and thought we can match that. But why stop there? If we evolved into something like HubSpot, we could have been looking at a cool $1 billion. So you got the basics of research now, right? Cool. But let's put a bow on it. You want to be in a space that's growing, where big players already exist, but there's still room for you. And hey, try not to get lost in some obscure niche. This is your groundwork, the first letter in our acronym RAGE. The stage is like choosing the right ingredients for your gourmet meal. A wrong choice here, and you might end up with a dinner disaster. So don't rush through this part. It's important to understand every little detail. That's all for today's video. If you found it insightful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to check out our other videos for more valuable content. Stay tuned for the next video on acquisition, and let me know your thoughts in the comment. Until next time, keep learning and stay motivated.